Session number 5, Part 1. L. Autoscaling and Cloudwatch. Notes for AWS Solution Architect and SYS Ops Certification. By Cloud Dev. 5. Elastic Load Balancing, Amazon Cloudwatch, and Autoscaling. 5.1 Exam Objective. The AWS Certified Solutions Architect exam topics covered in this chapter may include, but are not limited to, the following. Domain 1.0, Designing Highly Available, Cost-Effective, Fault-Tolerant, Scalable Systems. 1.1 Identify and recognize cloud architecture considerations, such as fundamental components and effective designs. Elasticity and scalability. Domain 2.0, Implementation/Deployment. 2.1 Identify the appropriate techniques and methods using Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, Amazon EC2, Amazon Simple Storage Service, Amazon S3, AWS Elastic Beanstalk, AWS CloudFormation, AWS OpsWorks, Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, Amazon VPC, and AWS Identity and Access Management, IAM, to code and implement a cloud solution. Content may include the following: launch instances across the AWS global infrastructure. Domain 3.0, Data Security. 3.1 Recognize and implement secure practices for optimum cloud deployment and maintenance. Cloudwatch logs. Domain 4.0, Troubleshooting. Content may include the following: general troubleshooting information and questions. 5.2 Introduction. Elastic Load Balancing is a highly available service that distributes traffic across Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, Amazon EC2, instances and includes options that provide flexibility and control of incoming requests to Amazon EC2 instances. Amazon Cloudwatch is a service that monitors AWS cloud resources and applications running on AWS. It collects and tracks metrics, collects and monitors log files, and sets alarms. Amazon Cloudwatch has a basic level of monitoring for no cost and a more detailed level of monitoring for an additional cost. Autoscaling is a service that allows you to maintain the availability of your applications by scaling Amazon EC2 capacity up or down in accordance with conditions you set. 5.3 Elastic Load Balancing. Achieve fault tolerance for any application by ensuring scalability, performance, and security. Elastic Load Balancing automatically distributes incoming application traffic across multiple targets, such as Amazon EC2 instances, containers, IP addresses, and Lambda functions. Handles traffic in a single availability zone or across multiple availability zones. 3 types Load Balancer. Application Load Balancer, best suited for load balancing of HTTP and HTTPS traffic. Network Load Balancer, best suited for load balancing of Transmission Control Protocol, TCP, User Datagram Protocol, UDP, and Transport Layer Security, TLS, traffic. Classic Load Balancer, provides basic load balancing across multiple Amazon EC2 instances and operates at both the request level and connection level. Default metric types for a load balancer: request count per target, average CPU utilization, network in and out. Adding lifecycle hooks to ASGs put instances in wait state before termination. During this wait state, we can perform custom activities. Default wait period is 1 hour. 5.3.1 Benefits. Highly available. Automatically distributes incoming traffic in multiple availability zones. Ensures only healthy targets receive traffic. Can also load balance across a region. 99.99% availability. Secure. VPC secured, including integrated certificate management, user authentication, and SSL/TLS decryption. Together, they give you the flexibility to centrally manage TLS settings and offload CPU-intensive workloads from your applications. Elastic, capable of handling rapid changes in network traffic patterns. Deep integration with auto-scaling ensures sufficient application capacity. Flexible with Cloudwatch, allows you to use IP addresses, allowing you to host more applications on the same instance. It also enables these applications to have individual security groups. Robust monitoring and auditing, allows you to monitor your applications and their performance in real time. In real time with Amazon Cloudwatch metrics, logging, and request tracing. Helps in uncovering issues and identifying performance bottleneck. Hybrid load balancing. Offers ability to load balance across AWS and on-premises resources using the same load balancer. This makes it easy for you to migrate, burst, or failover on-premises applications to the cloud. Layer 4 or Layer 7 loading balancing. HTTP/HTTPS applications for Layer 7 specific features. Layer 4 load balancing for applications. 5.3.2 Comparison. Feature. Application load balancer. Network load balancer. Classic load balancer. Protocols. HTTP, HTTPS. TCP, UDP, TLS. TCP, SSL/TLS, HTTP, HTTPS. Platforms. VPC. VPC. EC2 Classic, VPC. Health checks. Yes. 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 Cloudwatch metrics. Yes. 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 Logging. Yes. 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 Zonal failover. Yes. 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 Connection draining, deregistration delay. Yes. 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 Load balancing to multiple ports on the same instance. Yes. Yes. IP addresses as targets. Yes. Yes. TCP, TLS. Load balancer deletion protection. Yes. Yes. Configurable idle connection timeout. Yes. Yes. Cross-zone load balancing. Yes. 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 Sticky sessions. Yes. Yes. Static IP. Yes. Elastic IP address. Yes. Preserve source IP address. Yes. Resource-based IAM permissions. Yes. 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 Tag-based IAM permissions. Yes. Yes. Slow start. Yes. WebSockets. Yes. Yes. Private link support. Yes. TCP, TLS. Source IP address CIDR-based routing. Yes. Layer 7. Path-based routing. Yes. Host-based routing. Yes. Native HTTP/2. Yes. Redirects. Yes. Fixed response. Yes. Lambda functions as targets. Yes. HTTP header-based routing. Yes. HTTP method-based routing. Yes. Query string parameter-based routing. Yes. Security. SSL offloading. Yes. 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 Server name indication, SNI. Yes. Backend server encryption. Yes. 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 User authentication. Yes. Custom security policy. Yes. Server name indication, SNI, is an extension to the TLS protocol by which a client indicates the host name to connect to at the start of the TLS handshake. The load balancer can present multiple certificates through the same secure listener, which enables it to support multiple secure websites using a single secure listener. 5.3.3 Application Load Balancer. Host-based routing. You can route a client request based on the host field of the HTTP header, allowing you to route to multiple domains from the same load balancer. Path-based routing. You can route a client request based on the URL path of the HTTP header. HTTP header-based routing. You can route a client request based on the value of any standard or custom HTTP header. HTTP method-based routing. You can route a client request based on any standard or custom HTTP method. Query string parameter-based routing. You can route a client request based on query string or query parameters. Source IP address CIDR-based routing. You can route a client request based on source IP address CIDR from where the request originates. Application Load Balancer provides enhanced container support by load balancing across multiple ports on a single Amazon EC2 instance. ECS supported. HTTP/2 support. WebSockets support. Sticky sessions, using load balancer generated cookies. Health checks. Operational monitoring, Cloudwatch. Request counts, error types, and request latency. Logging, access logs feature to record all requests. The compressed logs save both storage space and transfer bandwidth and are useful for diagnosing application failures and analyzing web traffic. You can also use AWS CloudTrail to record application load balancer API calls for your account and deliver log files. Delete protection, prevent it from being accidentally deleted. Request tracing. Web application firewall, AWS WAP to protect your web applications. Slow start mode with load balancing algorithm. With the slow start mode, Targets warm up before accepting their fair share of requests based on a ramp-up period that you specify. Very useful for applications that depend on cache. Connection draining stops all new data flow to that instance but allows existing connections to finish, so it can let you smoothly transition users from the instance that's going away to the instances that are still in service. When you enable connection draining on a load balancer, any back-end instances that you deregister will complete requests that are in progress before deregistration. Likewise, if a back-end instance fails health checks, the load balancer will not send any new requests to the unhealthy instance but will allow existing requests to complete. Connection draining is also integrated with auto-scaling, making it even easier to manage the capacity behind your load balancer. When connection draining is enabled, auto-scaling will wait for outstanding requests to complete before terminating instances. This means that you can perform maintenance such as deploying software upgrades or replacing back-end instances without impacting your customer's experience. User authentication. Offload the authentication functionality. Seamlessly integrated with Amazon Cognito, which allows end users to authenticate through social identity providers such as Google, Facebook, and Amazon, and through enterprise identity providers such as Microsoft Active Directory via SAML or any OpenID Connect compliant identity provider, IDP. Redirects. Fixed response. 5.3.4 Network Load Balancer. Operates at the connection level, Layer 4. Amazon EC2 instances, microservices, and containers within VPC. Ideal for load balancing of both TCP and UDP traffic. It is integrated with other popular AWS services such as Autoscaling, Amazon EC2 Container Service, ECS, Amazon CloudFormation and AWS Certificate Manager, ACM. You can load balance both TCP and UDP traffic. High availability, within the same availability zone. High throughput. Low latency. Preserve source IP address. Static IP support. Elastic IP support. TLS offloading, supports TLS termination between the clients and the load balancer. Offers management of SSL certificates through AWS Identity and Access Management, IAM, and AWS Certificate Manager. Health checks, if the target becomes unable, or too slow, to respond to new connections, then the load balancer will mark the target as unavailable. DNS failover, if the network load balancer nodes in a given zone are unhealthy, then Amazon Route 53 will direct traffic to load balancer nodes in other availability zones. Integration with Amazon Route 53, in the event that your network load balancer is unresponsive, Route 53 will remove the unavailable load balancer IP address, direct traffic to an alternate network load balancer in another region. Integration with AWS services. Auto-scaling, Elastic Container Service, ECS, CloudFormation, Elastic Beanstalk, Cloudwatch, Config, CloudTrail, Code Deploy, and AWS Certificate Manager, ACM. Robust monitoring and auditing, Cloudwatch. Enhanced logging, Flow Logs feature to record all requests. Flow log data is stored using Amazon Cloudwatch logs. When TLS listeners are added to your network load balancer, you can choose to enable access logs. Zonal isolation, not regional. 5.3.5 Configuring Elastic Load Balancing. A load balancer that takes requests from clients over the internet and distributes them to Amazon EC2 instances that are registered with the load balancer. The DNS servers resolve the DNS name to your load balancer's public IP address, which can be visible to client applications. Do not bind IP address to ELB. Internal load balancer. Do not bind IP address to ELB. You can use internal load balancers to route traffic to your Amazon EC2 instances in VPCs with private subnets. 5.3.5.1 Listeners. Every load balancer must have one or more listeners configured. Every listener is configured with a protocol and a port. Supported ports are application, HTTP, HTTPS, network, TCP, SSL. 5.3.5.2 Idle connection timeout. Every request maintains two connections. One with the client and two with the instance. Default timeout, 60 SEC. Change default time for lengthy transaction like upload. Enable Keep Alive option for web server or in EC2 instance. Keep Alive, when enabled, allows the load balancer to reuse connections to your back-end instance, which reduces CPU utilization. 5.3.5.3 Cross-zone load balancing. You should enable cross-zone load balancing on your load balancer. Cross-zone load balancing reduces the need to maintain equivalent numbers of back-end instances in each availability zone and improves your application's ability to handle the loss of one or more back-end instances. 5.3.5.4 Connection draining. You should enable connection draining to ensure that the load balancer stops sending requests to instances that are deregistering or unhealthy. The default is 300 second. 1 and 3600 seconds. 5.3.5.5 Proxy Protocol. Before using Proxy Protocol, verify that your load balancer is not behind a proxy server with Proxy Protocol enabled. 5.3.5.6 Sticky Sessions. You can use the Sticky Session feature, also known as Session Affinity, which enables the load balancer to bind a user's session to a specific instance. This ensures that all requests from the user during the session are sent to the same instance. If your application does not have its own session cookie, you can configure Elastic Load Balancing to create a session cookie by specifying your own stickiness duration. 5.3.5.7 Health Checks. Healthy, in service. Unhealthy, out of service. 5.4 Help Lab. The load balancer routes traffic to the targets in these availability zones only. \. Figure 1 Target Group. Figure 2 Example for unhealthy instance. Figure 3 Help Health Checking Options. Figure 4 Cloudwatch Monitoring. Unhealthy hosts. Healthy hosts. Target response time. Request count. HTTP 5x axis. HTTP 4x axis. Backend connection errors. Negotiation errors. HTTP 3x axis. HTTP 2x axis. TLS negotiation errors. Request count per target. Request count. 5.4.1 ELP FAQ. 5.4.1.1 General. How do I decide which load balancer to select for my application? Load balance HTTP requests, application load balancer. Network/transport protocols, layer 4 TCP, UDP, load balancing, and for extreme performance/low latency applications, network load balancer. Can I privately access Elastic Load Balancing APIs from my Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, VPC, without using public IPS? Yes. VPC endpoint. Is there an SLA for load balancers? 99.99%. 5.4.1.2 Application Load Balancer. Which protocols does an application load balancer support? HTTP and HTTPS. Is HTTP/2 supported on an application load balancer? Yes. What TCP ports can I use to load balance? 1 to 65,535. Is WebSockets supported on an application load balancer? Yes. Is request tracing supported on an application load balancer? Yes. By default. Can I configure my Amazon EC2 instances to accept traffic only from my application load balancers? Yes. Can I configure a security group for the front end of an application load balancer? Yes. Can I convert my classic load balancer to an application load balancer, and vice versa? No. Can I migrate to application load balancer from classic load balancer? Yes. Can I use an application load balancer as a layer 4 load balancer? No. Can I use a single application load balancer for handling HTTP and HTTPS requests? Yes. Audit. CloudTrail. Does an application load balancer support HTTPS termination? Yes. Install an SSL certificate on your load balancer. What are the steps to get an SSL certificate? Use AWS Certificate Manager to provision an SSL/TLS certificate. Getting the certificate request signed by a CA. How can I enable server name indication, SNI, for my application load balancer? SNI is automatically enabled when you associate more than one TLS certificate with the same secure listener on a load balancer. Can I associate multiple certificates for the same domain to a secure listener? Yes. How can I protect my web applications behind a load balancer from web attacks? Integrate your application load balancer with AWS WAF. Web application firewall that helps protect web applications from attacks by allowing you to configure rules based on IP addresses, HTTP headers, and custom URI strings. How can I load balance applications distributed across a VPC and on-premises location? Cross-zone load balancing is already enabled by default in application load balancer. ELB authenticates from network identities, Google, Facebook, and Amazon, or enterprise identities, SAML, our own user directories provided by Amazon Cognito's user pool. OpenID Connect and want to create a single authentication rule in Application Load Balancer, ALB. Actively manage user profiles with one or more social or OpenID Connect identity providers from one central place. Redirects. Does Application Load Balancer support? Yes. You are charged for each hour or partial hour that an application load balancer is running and the number of load balancer capacity units, LCU, used per hour. What is a load balancer capacity unit, LCU? An LCU defines the maximum resource consumed in any one of the dimensions, new connections, active connections, bandwidth, and rule evaluations. The application load balancer processes your traffic. Is user authentication in application load balancer charged separately? No. Can I create a TCP or UDP, layer 4, listener for my network load balancer? Yes. Can network load balancer process both TCP and UDP protocol traffic on the same port? Yes. Can I migrate to network load balancer from classic load balancer? Yes. Can I create my network load balancer in a single availability zone? Yes. Does network load balancer support DNS regional and zonal failover? Yes. Can the internal network load balancer support more than one private IP in each subnet? No. Network load balancer idle timeout for TCP connections is 350 seconds. How can I load balance applications distributed across a VPC and on-premises location? There are various ways to achieve hybrid load balancing. If an application runs on targets distributed between a VPC and an on-premises location, you can add them to the same target group using their IP addresses. You can also use separate load balancers for VPC and on-premises targets and use DNS weighting to achieve weighted load balancing between VPC and on-premises targets. How can I load balance to EC2 classic instances? Not allowed. How do I enable cross-zone load balancing in network load balancer? You achieve this by editing the load balancing attributes section and then by selecting the cross-zone load balancing support checkbox. Else. Does network load balancer support TLS termination? Yes. Is back-end server authentication supported with network load balancer? No. Figure 5 NLB. With this node, we reach up to end of the session. See you in next part of the session. Goodbye.